Well, hello. I come today to tell you about a vision I had. As soon as I had this vision and I was able to kind of comprehend what I was being showed and what I seen, I called Max in California to tell him I wanted to talk to somebody about this vision, and I told him, and then I called Tina and told her. Well, that was the day before yesterday that I had the vision, and I was still processing the vision over in my mind because it's a powerful vision. And some people will go, okay, and some will say I'm nuts, but that's all right. There's a lot of people that calls me nuts and calls me names on my video. I mean, you know, what can I say? Doesn't bother me. All I know is I know what I saw, what God showed me through this vision. Now, first, I must retell you again of 2001 when I heard the trumpet sound that shook the trailer house. It's on a previous video. But the thing that I did see, and it's on the videos back when I talked about it, was a vortex that opened up. Now, I didn't see anything coming through it or going back through it, but I'd seen this vortex opening in the sky. Very plain, very plain. Of course, when I started screaming for my husband to come, because I thought it was Yeshua, Jesus Christ, coming back to earth again, you know, I did take my eyes off. Could have something come through at that point when I wasn't watching? Yeah. You know, I don't know. But it was important for me to put this at the beginning of this video to let you know there are vortexes. And this is how the vision began the day before yesterday. What was that? See, today is the 14th, the 13th, the 12th. August the 12th is when I had this vision. Okay, to set this up, blank piece of paper. Oh, you know, with the lines. Okay, let's put here the earth. I mean, okay, here's the earth. Here I put, not a very good map, is it? But here is Jerusalem. I put a pinpoint, Jerusalem, somewhere here on earth, okay? Because this is important. Jerusalem is the heart of God, okay? Where the Temple Mount, and where I believe that he created Adam. I think that's where he took the dust of the earth and molded Adam when he molded him, from that very spot, from the Temple Mount. This is my belief, okay? You can believe whatever you want, but this is my belief. And I also believe that's the reason why Abraham, when he was supposed to sacrifice Isaac, had to take him to the Temple Mount, which God stopped him. You know, God didn't permit it because he was obedient. He took him up there to sacrifice him as God had asked him to, and then God stopped him and provided a lamb for him. But I've been studying that about the dimensions. I mean, about not dimensions, but what is it? I have to get this right. time, space, and matter. And there are dimensions of time, space, and matter throughout from here, okay? This is what God showed me. This thing right here is one dimension. It's flat. This object I drawed, it's just a flat piece of surface, one dimension. We live in a two-dimensional world, a two-dimensional plane. I mean, when someone can take a picture and they can draw the elements on that picture to the point it looks like, you know, if he draws a tree, it looks like that tree just pops off of the page and it's real. Making it appear two-dimensional, when really it's only one, but making it look two-dimensional. Drawing a picture of a human being, putting all the shadows and all the things that makes it pop out and look two-dimensional, which it's not. It's one dimension, drawn on a piece of paper, but with the elements that you can add of highlighting, and you can draw to the point that person will just look two-dimensional on that piece of paper. To me, that's great artist work. I draw pictures, and I'm trying to find something to get this hair out of my face. Here, because it keeps falling in my face, kind of irritating me. So I'm going to put it back out of my face for right now while I'm doing this video, okay? Because I don't like the distraction of my hair falling down. Okay. So we go on, and in the vision he began to show me, this is two-dimension here. Then you have three-dimension, four-dimension, five-dimension, six-dimension, and seven-dimension. See, coming from Earth, this is two-dimension, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dimensions of space, time, and matter. Fabric of time being. Here, why he showed me Jerusalem and the Temple Mount. Remember when Yeshua died on the cross, it plainly said in Matthew that there was an earthquake at his death, and that the curtain that hung before the Holy of Holies was rent in two from top to bottom. It was rent, opening the way to the Holy of Holies. At that point, there was graves that was opened in the graveyard. Nobody arose at that point, but they were open. Another thing that God showed me here, from this point, there was a rip in the fabric of time, space, and dimension through these other dimensions to here, the seventh dimension, which is where God, his main headquarters, his Holy of Holies, his throne room are in the seventh dimension, God. All of this is God's, but I'm saying through time, space. He opened, he tore a that rent just at the very time that the curtain at the Holy of Holies was rent from top to bottom. The graves were open. This portal was open to the very throne room of God in the 7th dimension. Well, let me explain why. Yeshua HaMashiach, through his death and sacrifice, opened a portal that we can go through at our death right now until he comes back for us, all the way to God through these dimensions of time, space, and matter to God. But then he showed me there's another dimension of time, space, and matter. And I'm drawing out the 4th, 5th dimension, 6th dimension, and then the 7th dimension. Satan. On the other side, I put these 7 dimensions. This is what God showed me. I'm sorry to tell you, but this is what he showed me. So, this dimension was open when Yeshua died to the throne room. Okay? Nobody passed through it at this point in time. It was just open. But when Yeshua died, okay, before his death, in the third or 4th dimension, that's where souls went. Paul speaks of when he went to hell, that he took the keys from Satan and unlocked the gates, and set the captive free. That was people that was dead and locked up in like prison, in holding places in this other dimension. So when Yeshua, Jesus, died, okay, leaving from the same point, when he died, he went through, he left here, his spirit, and he went through these dimensions all the way where Satan is. Now see, when he went to where Satan was, through these dimensions of time, space, and matter that are laid out, the Greeks calls this Tartarus, Satan's dwelling place, okay? When Jesus came down to here, he looked at Satan and he said, and I think it shocked Satan, because this holy being, this holy person, this holy Son of God had entered his abode that had been prepared for him at his fall. God prepared for him afar at his fall. And when Yeshua passed through these dimensions and went all the way to Tartarus, the 7th dimension where Satan was, he comes in, and I think Satan was kind of like, what are you doing here? You should be up there being locked down with those other souls. Jesus says, oh no, I'm here for the keys. I am going to set the captive free. Hand them keys over to me now. Satan had no choice. He had to hand the keys over to Yeshua HaMashiach. So then, Yeshua, as he leaves Satan, he comes back, and when he comes back through, he sets the captives free, and then he comes back. Remember, it's 3.5 days. He was in the grave, going through this process for 3.5 days, and then he comes back to earth again, and he arises. He comes forth. That's when those in Matthew, you'll find out that the dead arose, and they were seen in Jerusalem. And then when Jesus, when he talked to Mary, and he says, "Oh, don't touch me, I haven't went to be purified. I will meet with them later in Galilee. Go tell them I'm risen. I'll meet with them in Galilee." So he takes, at that time, you have to know the Jewish laws and the Jewish, what they did. That was when that the barley was cut on Mount Olive, brought in and waved as a wave offering. So at this point in time, Yeshua had to ascend back to the Father's throne, to the porthole that was just had already been opened for him, bringing forth the captive that was set free through this dimension where God was, and they were offered as a wave offering. And then he come back, and he was there for 40 days before he ascended back into heaven, and they saw him going up in the clouds. Well, let me say this. When Yeshua come through here this time, probably back through the same portal that he had opened when he went here with the captive, he closed this portal. It had been closed once before when Adam fell, and it had been like no, it wasn't this one closed. This one had been closed over here because couldn't get to the portal. You couldn't go to paradise. You couldn't go where the tree of life was. Okay, it was a flaming sword. But at Jesus' death, this portal was reopened going here. This one, when he come through, was closed because no more was that particular portal to be open to let Satan and the spirits come through. I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to say. So later on, when Muhammad, the prophet of the Muslims, went and he ascended, where did he ascend from? The same place, Jerusalem, on the Temple Mount, on a horse. And where did he ascend? Now he thought and taught that he ascended this way, but no, he ascended and went this way, all the way to Satan's throne room. When he went to Satan's throne room, he was introduced to Satan as God, the one and only God, and he called himself Allah. He also introduced him to one that was standing there named Jesus Christ, which was the false that will come back. So you may say, what does this have to do with aliens and all of this stuff? Well, let me tell you. This is what he showed me. I must put this in. There was a brief time that he opened a door in the spirit to the third dimension. It was like I looked into, my body didn't go in it, but I was able to look into the third dimension. What I saw was just totally, beyond mind-boggling. Now, Paul made a statement that he knew a man that went to the third heaven. He could have easily said to the third dimension in God's kingdom. And he said he saw things that he could not speak of, that was not allowed to speak of. What I saw was an intense, brilliant light. It was like it was illuminated with an intensity. The trees that I saw there was just, they were alive. They were like moving, and they were like clapping and rejoicing, and what I could see of the flowers and things, they were just rejoicing, and they were happy, and they were always moving with an intensity, moving, but it was faster than here on this 2-dimension that we live on. Everything you look at me, I'm not moving like that. But in the third dimension, you're just sort of like out of focus, spinning, because time is speeding up, moving. And I would assume when you enter the 4th, 5th, and 6th, it gets faster and faster and faster. Time is faster than here in this present time. This present time is slowed down to where we can live and walk in. But it's an intense light, a glorious light. And I couldn't stay in, I couldn't, it's like I'm looking through a portal, being able to see, but I couldn't stay there long because it began to make me dizzy and kind of like nausea at my stomach, because it was, and it would move, it would go, and then it was like it was doing it in shifts. Don't quite understand that, but maybe somebody that's into physics and stuff would understand that better than me, because I'm not into physics and all of that stuff. I do know exist, and people a lot smarter than me would tell you why this would happen, and then again, and But God showed me that when Mohammed lifted up from the very site in Jerusalem, and he went down to the kingdom of heaven, that's how he was deceived. He met Satan firsthand and personally, who told him, there is no other God besides me. There's only one God, and I am He, and my name is Allah. This is Jesus, and Jesus explained to him, the false Jesus explained to him, that when he come down to earth, he lied. He didn't die on a cross, and he wasn't the Son of God, because God did not get begotten, all of that stuff. That's why Mohammed was very precise on that teaching, because this is what Allah, God, Satan, told him. Denouncing the true birth, the truth of who Yeshua HaMashiach Jesus Christ really is, and the purpose that he come from. That is job Satan. That is the job of Satan, to do such things. Okay, let me tell you about the watchers that are in Satan. When I saw that vortex coming through, you know, a vortex is like this. It starts out small. Okay, it starts out small and it grows more and more and more and more and more and more intense, okay? Until there's an opening here on earth. This is what God showed me in my vision. The fallen angels would never ever have sex with human women again. They learned their lesson, because some of them are chained up in the lower pits of one of these dimensions over here, and they know they're chained up, and they are down there in some kind of place. Not up here in these parts of the dimensions. It's like it's cut in half and they're down here chained up. That's the reason why when Yeshua would cast demons out, they say, oh, don't send us. Please don't send us to the pits. Don't send us to that part that is preserved for us to be chained up, where those other angels are. Don't send us there. We don't want to go there. So Jesus would cast them out, and of course that legion went to the ocean. They went into the pigs, and the pigs went into the ocean, and the pigs drowned, releasing the demons down there. My sister Tina has a study that she's been studying, and she'll bring that part to you later on. I'm not going to get into that because that's what God is showing her as a message. But when we see, and I've seen them, you know, when I was a kid, me, Mama, and my sister would go out at night and lay on pallets looking up at the stars at night. It'd be so beautiful. You know, that's when you're that young. Back in that age, I didn't even have electricity at the ranch where we lived at that time. When I was that young, it was around 7 years old before we ever got electricity on the ranch. So therefore we had nothing else better to do on beautiful nights of the summer and spring and fall but to go out and watch the stars. And even back then, you could see stars moving. You would see them just all of a sudden come out from the darkness and kind of blink, and then they would begin to move out there, move around. Well, we used to talk about them. We'd say, look at that star. It's traveling. It's moving. Wow, isn't that awesome? And we'd watch them. Sometimes we'd watch clusters of them, but we would watch them moving through the darkness of the night sky in the universe out there, never knowing what they were or realizing what they are. Nowadays, when people talk about it, they'll try to say, they poof it and say, oh, the satellites. Well, we didn't have satellites back in those days in the sky. That's before man ever built a rocket and launched it out into outer space of any kind. Remember, the first one went straight up and come back down. And then as time events, we began to build satellites and put them in space. So sometimes you do see satellites now. But back then, when I was a kid, they weren't satellites. There was none. There was no satellites whatsoever. So God showed me in this vision how these things occur. How they occur is that these fallen angels travel through dimensions of time, and when they come through the third dimension and pop out in our 2 dimension, they just pop out through a vortex. That's why so many people are beginning to see these blue vortexes over places, overseas, especially over here. You can see videos, they put them up on YouTube, about these big things that appear all of a sudden in the sky with glowing light, and it's an opening. It's an opening. It's a vortex opening, letting things come through. You may not believe it. And the reason why the fallen angels have chosen this effect, and they choose to abduct people, they are abducting them for one reason. Not only experiment on them and, you know, do all sorts of weird things to them, they're drawing their DNA, and they will take women's eggs and men's sperm for whatever reason. You may say, well, why would they want that? Because they're doing genetic cloning, making the giants again. But they won't be giants. Some of them will be, but not all of them. They're trying to perfect the cloning process where they can make their Nephilim hybrids look exactly like human beings. When they were having sex, when those fallen angels were having sex with women, they would turn up with whatever it was, and they were giants. And they knew that didn't work too good, because it really ticked God off for one reason, which caused the flood, that caused the destruction of the Nephilim, the giants of that day. And they got wiped out. And the fallen angels, literally, and I know a lot of the people don't like the book of Enoch, but I begin to tell you through much study that the book of Enoch has a lot of information in it. Was it written by Enoch? I have no idea. But I do know it has a lot of truths, and Bible has referred back to it, passage of the Bible. Plus, it was canonized at one time and then kicked out because people did not want to accept fallen angels, and even though it's in Genesis, they did not want to accept the possibility that fallen angels could have bred with human beings and created these things. But it's all through the Old Testament about the Nephilim, the giants being on earth, and David even fought them. But they didn't want to accept that explanation. So when human beings does not want to accept a part or something, they just kind of like kick it out, dismiss it, let's do away with that. They really tried to do away with Revelations because it was too violent. It was too mean. It was too unbelievable. And at one time they had thought about kicking Revelations out of the Bible. But evidently God didn't want it kicked out of the Bible, so there was a move to keep it in. Well, being that these angels, these fallen angels, have kind of learned their lesson from those that did this deed, says, well, we can't do that again. If we do, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. If we actually have physical sex with these women, God will do us like he did them and put us in chains down there. So they distract the DNA from the people that they capture and take up into their ships that they created. And India is really big on talking about ships, seeing ships come. Well, they take human beings up there and does the experiments on them and extracts the DNA from women and men. And then they clone it, do genetic manipulations with it, with their DNA, because see, they have DNA of some kind too, and they genetically manipulate it and have these babies. There has been testimony of some women that said that they come back, they were not pregnant beforehand, but they come back and were pregnant, and then at a certain time they would be taken, and that baby would be taken from their womb, and then years later they would be taken and they would meet a daughter or a son that would be introduced to them and said, this is your baby. I've come to the point I really don't doubt that. I'm beginning to believe more and more that these people are trying to tell the truth and trying to warn people here on earth that these things are happening. Because the angels will no longer have sex with mortal human being women, because that is a total no-no from God. Angels just, forbidden. I don't care if you're still a good angel or a bad angel. Forbidden. If you do it, you're in trouble. But they genetically use and manipulate the DNA to do this. That way they're not breaking that one commandment from God that angels cannot have sex. Period. So they're preparing a race aboard their ships and in their dimensions of time and space to come back. And when they come back through these portals that just open up, okay? The ships come through. They just appear. Sometimes people can see the portals as they're opening up, but their mind is so entrenched on the portal, they don't actually see the ship moving through. It's like it's cloaked. Star Wars thing, okay, you say, but it is. It's your mind is seeing the portal open, but you're not seeing the ship coming through into our dimension. They're coming out of their dimension of time and space into our dimension of time and space. They are capable of entering from their time that is sped up into our time that is slowed down. And as I come out of this vision and seeing this, Max will tell you I was totally in I was like, I could not hardly speak. I could not hardly comprehend on the vision what I seen, because it was so overwhelming, especially when I looked through that time, space in the third dimension of the heaven, God's kingdom. I didn't look through the other dimension into the darkness, but I saw the light that was brilliant. And I told Max about it. And Max can make a video and tell you about our conversation, because I was just, I'm still now able to really talk about it, because it was in awe. We always think of heaven being out out there somewhere. No, it's here. It's in through dimension. It's like you can, if a portal opened and you stumbled across it and you went in, you couldn't be there in this body. This body, this mind, these eyes could not live in that dimension because it has been sped up to the point, see, it's moving like this, my hand, it's moving, and it gets faster and faster as you travel through. Our body is not capable, even that action kind of made me sick. I mean, you know, the swirling, the moving, the, you know, I couldn't take it. So that's why we have to have a new body to enter in. This physical flesh cannot enter in. It takes a new body, a new spiritual body, to be able to walk through there. And what we would see in our new body would be like looking in a two-dimensional world. I mean, everything would look okay. In our new body, as we travel through time, space, and dimensions of time and space into God's kingdom, our body is acceptable to see these things. But this is what God showed me, and that's why I made the video. The Nephilim is coming back. They're being prepared right now to come back in the last days. They will come back to help the New World Order, to establish the New World Order in the fullness of its time and purpose. They are being prepared as a great army, as an army that will come. And on my other video, I put down about this man's teaching. I mean, I stumbled across it yesterday after I made my video, and then I start putting his links down below, because it is important that you see this. And this man, I really truly believe, sees what is happening. He has been given the knowledge of what is happening to the world today and about the fallen angels and things. That is why he said, is it Zechariah? No, let me see. Let me find it. Oh, wait a minute. Is it in Amos that it talks about the army coming? It's not Daniel. It's not Hosea. I'm trying to find it as quick. Oh, Joel. In Joel, I'm pretty sure. No, maybe not. Say, and the bridegroom, let's see. I will have, okay, the locust hath eaten. Fear not, O land, be glad, rejoice, for the Lord will do great things. Be not afraid, ye beasts of the fields. Okay, be glad, see. And I will restore to you years that the locusts have eaten, and ye shall eat in plenty. Okay, that's not it. Well, I will find it, and I will put it down below, because I don't want to make this thing so long, about the army. And at one time, I thought it was talking about the army of God. No. I will put it down below, the link, the verse and chapter. But it's talking about an army that will run. They will run side by side. They will not waver. They will run up on the walls. They will run through the women's house. They will run through houses and climb and do all sorts of things. They're talking about the Nephilim when they return to earth. These are going to be the army of Satan, as Satan permits them to go through these portals, these wormholes, these things that are will open up and let them proceed out. They will not only proceed out, but they will come up from the depths of the earth. And you see in Revelations where the star falls and the pit is open up, and they will come up. These are Nephilim coming up that's been held down there with Apollo, their god, down in the lower pits. They will be released upon earth to bring forth the new world order, the new religion, the newness of things. I will close right now, and I will teach more on this, because with this vision God has showed me a very important thing. But this is what he told me to tell you in these days. I leave this video with this message in Ephesians 6, beginning with verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that we may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, in those other dimension of darkness, where the Nephilim will once come again. We wrestle against these powers. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the evil day, the evil days. Oh, the evil day, and having done all to stand. To withstand that evil day that's coming upon this earth. And having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girded with truth, having on the breastplate of righteousness, and on your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And there will be coming after everyone here on earth, even us. But this is our defense. And take the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, which is of God, praying always with all prayer and supplement in the Spirit, and watch thereunto with all preparation and supplement of all saints. For me the altar may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in the bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. We need to be preparing ourselves right now for this event when it's about to come. They're preparing to come through the portals from other dimensions of time and space. They're going to come through, and when they come through, there is going to be a mighty war that is going to happen. And a third of mankind, let me go over here. Reason why I'm telling you to prepare yourself now. Prepare yourself now, people, before it's too late. For it says in Revelations chapter 9, when the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the six angels which had the trumpets, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. They're going to come up. They're going to come up. The Nephilims are going to come up. And the four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour, a day, and a month, and a year to slay the third part of mankind. They're coming to slay mankind. And the number of the army, the horses were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And this I saw the horses' vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and jasper, and breastplates, and heads of the horses were the heads of lions, and out of the mouth issued fire, smoke, and brimstone. I used to think, honestly, I used to interpret this as a Muslim army. God has showed me different through this vision. It's the Nephilim coming. Let me tell you, it is. By these three was the third part of man killed by fire, by smoke, and by brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. They're not here, right? There's some here on earth, below the earth, that will ascend out of the river Euphrates, but they will be meeting those that are coming through the portals of time and space into our earth realm. For their power is in their mouth and their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents. Like unto who? Their father, Satan. Serpents. And heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of man which were not killed by the plagues, yet repent not of the works of their hands, and they worship not, and they wait a minute. And the rest of man which were not killed by the plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repent they of their murders, nor of their soothsayers, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. So the rest of the people here on earth that are not put on the holy armor of God will worship these things that have just killed a third of mankind. I will continue in another video. Father, in the name of Yeshua, I turn this video over to you. It is your vision that you gave me. There are some parts that I still is thinking about, but Father, you use it for your will and glory. And those people that can even understand this vision even better than me, let them come forth. Let them speak the truth in your holy name. In Yeshua's holy, holy name. Amen and amen. Well, hello. I come today to tell you about a vision I had. As soon as I had this vision and I was able to kind of comprehend what I was being showed and what I seen, I called Max in California to tell him I wanted to talk to somebody about this vision, and I told him. And then I called Tina and told her. Well, that was the day before yesterday that I had the vision, and I was still processing the vision over in my mind, because it's a powerful vision, to the Temple Mount, which God stopped him. You know, God didn't permit it because he was obedient. He took him up there to sacrifice him as God had asked him to, and then God stopped him and provided a lamb for him. But I've been studying that about the dimensions. I mean, about not dimensions, but what is it? I have to get this right. Time, space, and matter. And they are dimensions of time, space, and matter throughout from here, okay? The earth, okay, here's the earth. Here I put, not a very good map, is it? But here is Jerusalem. I put a pinpoint, Jerusalem, somewhere here on earth, okay? Because this is important. Jerusalem is the heart of God, okay? Where the Temple Mount, and where I believe that he created Adam. I think that's where he took the dust of the earth and molded Adam when he molded him, from that very spot, from the Temple Mount. This is my belief, okay? You can believe whatever you want, but this is my belief. And I also believe that's the reason why Abraham, when he was supposed to sacrifice Isaac, had to take him. Of course, when I started screaming for my husband to come, because I thought it was Yeshua, Jesus Christ, coming back to earth again, you know, I did take my eyes off. Could have something come through at that point when I wasn't watching? Yeah. You know, I don't know. But it was important for me to put this at the beginning of this video to let you know there are vortexes. And this is how the vision began the day before yesterday. What was that? See, today's the 14th, the 13th, the 12th. August the 12th is when I had this vision. Okay, to set this up, blank piece of paper. Oh, you know, with the lines. Okay, let's put here. And some people will go, okay, and some will say I'm nuts, but that's all right. There's a lot of people that calls me nuts and calls me names on my video. I mean, you know, what can I say? Doesn't bother me. All I know is I know what I saw, what God showed me through this vision. Now, first, I must retell you again of 2001 when I heard the trumpet sound that shook the trailer house. It's on a previous video. But the thing that I did see, and it's on the videos back when I talked about it, was a vortex that opened up. Now, I didn't see anything coming through it or going back through it, but I'd seen this vortex opening in the sky. Very plain, very plain.